G'day everyone, and welcome to this incredibly exciting new season of the CFStrong podcast. I'm your host and fellow CF patient, Bradley Dryborough, and as a 20-something-year-old living with cystic fibrosis, I know that this decade of our life is not only challenging, but rather it comes with some big questions we ask of ourselves. I've taken the time to sit down with 6 guests who, like me, are all in their 20s living with cystic fibrosis as they share their honest and unique perspectives on 10 big questions. Across 10 separate episodes, I'll ask one question of all 6 of our guests. In this particular order, you can expect to hear answers from Adam, Blake, Caitlin, Ellie, Sam and Taylor. In this 8th episode of our series, we'll hear from each of our 6 guests as they answer the question, it's not uncommon to hear that some people with CF experience challenges with body image. Have you had any experience with this personally?
Yeah, I used to always feel really sad about being underweight, but I just learned to love the skinny boy aesthetic. And I don't know. I just don't really care what people think about my body, because if they knew, I think they'd be pretty impressed. I think they'd be like, oh, keep going. You're doing really well. You're born with CF. It makes sense that this is the way it is. So I think it's just a lack of understanding from people, but it was pretty liberating the day that I realized that it doesn't really matter what people think. It's just about how I perceive myself. That's like the most important thing.
What age do you believe you were, if you can recall, when you felt liberated by that thought?
Definitely after high school. Teenage years are so crazy, and teenagers are so crazy themselves. So probably 19, 20 was the real, like, coming to terms or accepting the way that I look.
I think everybody does, really. Obviously with my body type is just sort of I'm 5'11", whatever, on the a little bit taller than average, I guess. I don't know, and I've always been pretty skinny and lanky, so that was a massive thing I sort of dealt with, especially in school. Primary school a little bit. I was always short and skinny, and then once I hit high school, that's when all of those issues become way worse. But it's sort of it sort of died down a little bit now. I'm not as worried about it anymore. But they do, it goes back to the fitness and wellness thing of I don't feel like I can really complain about how my body looks, because I'm not currently doing anything to fix it. There's 10 beers after a show in Wagga don't really help the physique. So yeah. But again, like I haven't got anyone in my life that makes me feel bad about my body or anything like that. So yeah, it's there come the times where you do think about it, but I think overall I'm pretty good with it.
100%. Again, I think it's very hard to just be an adolescent in itself, and then being an adolescent female, and then having CF on top of that. It's very easy to compare yourself to other people, and just not being very happy with body image in general, such as like bloating or scars, or having like needles in you, for example. Like I have a porta cath, so that's always on show. So yeah, I've definitely had experiences with that, and that's just another challenge that you have to slowly overcome, I guess.
Yeah, this one is definitely probably the hardest. Not gonna lie, I've definitely had and maybe not discussed regularly, like quite severe body image issues. I think potentially like growing up, being told like, oh, as a young kid, it kind of sounds quite nice being told that you can probably eat whatever you want and not necessarily like have to worry too much about your weight, and kind of getting comments around, oh, you'll never put on weight, or like you'll never be fat, or anything like that. I think like almost was more negative than useful. And the gym, like I mentioned, kind of also didn't like, more on the later side of it, going through like the different phases didn't really help. But I definitely almost have like a like a massive fear around getting bigger. Like it scares me quite a lot. And I think that's potentially why I bounce around like from lots of activities, because I'm like trying to find the one that will kind of keep me where I'm at. I also definitely have felt like, having gone to clinic, almost relief when they're like, oh, your weight hasn't changed, or oh, you're looking, it's gone down a little bit, like, are you eating the same? I'm like, yeah, like I am, but I don't know like kind of what that has stemmed from, but obviously somewhere along the lines of like, you know, learning about how food's different for CF, it's kind of you know, I felt like I need to stay small because I've told I'll never not be small.
Your identity almost gets a little bit wrapped up in that image.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So that's definitely, you know, something that I've struggled with a lot.
Oh, big time. Big time. I unfortunately, when I was younger and still do, suffer from quite severe acne. So as a teen, man, mate, I can tell you, going through teenagehood, battling acne, battling CF, battling all that kind of stuff, your mentals take a big hit. But in the crazy thing, my a good mate of mine in high school, he had acne as well. He was a year older than me, and when mine was starting to get really bad, he pulled me aside one day and goes, "Hey, mate, this sucks. It's shit, but this is gonna. If you can get through this, you can get through anything. Mental, body image, that kind of stuff. It's heavy, but if you can get through it, your strength of mind and I guess the way you view other people and how you view yourself will just go beyond, I guess, that materialistic point of view. And it's bloody hard. And you got every single day you got to wake up and still go, I'm stronger than this. I'm stronger than any of this, and get through it. But it's there. It's heavy. But yeah, again, the way I get through it is just by being physically fit and healthy. If I can feel my body be strong and be healthy, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter if it's breaking out of acne or I'm looking a bit thin, if I'm not on my right diet. If I'm fit and strong, that's all that matters in the end.
Yeah, so body image, I think since track after, I was 40 kilos before I started, and I'm 180 centimeters tall, 183 between there. Depends who measures me at the hospital. But I was quite underweight, and I know I was. But like obviously as a teenager entering early 20s, when you're that skinny, you kind of like, you get praised for it all the time. Oh, I wish like I could eat as much as you could and like not put on any weight. And I used to get so frustrated with that, but then I also kind of liked it because I knew no matter what I ate, I wasn't going to get like super fat. But even though I was frustrated with my body not putting on more weight when we got to the 40 kilo mark and it kept trying to drop, I was doing everything I could. But I think body image now on track after with weight gain, like I'm someone who's been like sickly skinny my entire life, like no double chin, like, you know, super skinny arms, super skinny legs where they looked like chicken legs, like drumsticks, and, like, but skinnier. Yeah, I think struggling with accepting yourself then and going, yeah, I look good for me. I'm doing the best I can. You know, I look great. And then all of a sudden putting on weight with how society is for women especially, and I know it's there for guys as well. You put on weight, oh gosh, you put on weight, like, you know, and it's kind of like an internalized fear, I feel like, for a lot of people. Whereas my body image isn't too great at the moment. I have struggled with the weight gain quite a lot. Yeah, I think it's just part of life. I think everyone deals with it. But you chuck CF in the mix and I feel like you're like, oh, that never used to happen. Why am I gaining weight now? Like, I haven't changed my food. I haven't changed my lifestyle, the activity I do, like 10,000 steps every day. Like, what's happening? So I think it's difficult. I mean, like, I have a gut now. Didn't ever have one of those before. So, like, yeah, you get your rolls and stuff and you're like, well, what is this? And I mean, you can feel pretty crappy about yourself for sure. But yeah, it's uncharted waters, I'm not going to lie.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of our series. We thank you for taking the time to sit down and hear the value that each of our 6 guests provide, and we want to thank them for taking the time to be a part of the series too. We hope that this has not only been informative, but refreshing to hear that there are many different perspectives to each of these questions and challenges we face as CF patients. Once again, I'm your host, Bradley Drybra. Thank you so much for tuning in to the CFStrong podcast.